What's up, Bills Mafia? I'm Fernando Schmude, that's your leading the charge. And today I'm here to talk about Bills and Dolphins. Bills season so far. Some guys that are trending up and some guys that are trending down during this last week, where after the Bills played the Seahawks, and more. So happy to be here and talking Bills football, and glad to be part of Rumblings Network. So as always, I ask you to like, subscribe to Rumblings Network channel, and to support us. A lot of great shows, Bruce Exclusive, Joe Boccacino, uh, Jamie D, Big Newt, Sarah Larson, Sterling Forlow, uh, Jay Spence the King. So everybody's back with their own shows, great content available on Rumblings Network. So please subscribe, help us keep growing, support us with your like, and also grade us in your favorite podcast place: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, Amazon Podcasts. We are everywhere, so we are always counting on your downloads and especially on your grading. If you can grade us there, it will help be very helpful as well. So, Bills Mafia, also as you join me today here in the show, subscribe to my own Fernando Schmude channel, support me, keep creating content not just for Bills Mafia in America, but also for Bills Mafia all over the world, in Brazil, especially where I have my show in Portuguese as well. So I always count on you to keep supporting me and allowing me to keep creating content for Bills Mafia. Also, go to buffalorumblings.com, check out my latest article there. There is a new one just waiting for the editor to be published to be published. So please give it a look, and I will talk there about the guys that are rising, the guys that are falling so far, and I will talk about it a little bit here today. So start talking about the Bills season so far, because I want to talk a little bit about it, because week 9 is just around the corner, right? The Bills play the Dolphins tomorrow, and um, the Bills are running away with the division again, right? And as I when I get back into of the off season and preseason, we had a lot of people in Bills Mafia worried about this season because of losing Trey Davis White, losing Micah Hyde, losing Jordan Poyer, Stephon Diggs, Mitch Morse, all guys that no doubt they were extremely important for the Bills during the seasons they played, especially during their primes. But as Bills Mafia members, as people who actually watch the Bills playing every week, and not like national media who only watches highlights sometimes or watch a prime time game here and there, okay, or and take too long to recognize when our players do well, when our players are really playing well, doing good. They're always at least one season late. Remember how Hyde and Poyer were extremely good since the beginning of their Bills careers. Micah Hyde had the recognition in the first year as an All Pro, but Jordan Poyer didn't have it, right? And it took like kind of 2 or 3 years so people could act like and realize that Jordan Poyer was playing at the same level or even better than Micah Hyde sometimes. And with Matt Milano, it took a long time so people could recognize him as an All Pro linebacker, right? And it's been like this with every Bills player, right? Even Josh Allen, people they have this narrative that he was extremely bad in his first 2 years, and then after Diggs arrived, he figured out, and it's not true, right? And as a guy who didn't believe that the Josh Allen pick was a good one, I could be there telling you that he was trash in the first few seasons, but I was convinced by Josh Allen in his first season already, because despite not the consistency and despite not being the most polished player, and he obviously was pretty raw coming out of Wyoming. Man, there were so many plays, so many opportunities where he really showed that he would be the franchise. He really showed that he would be a big time player in this league, right? And every time we see Josh being interviewed by Shady McCoy nowadays, and Shady calls Josh the franchise, he used to do that back in the first season Josh was there. So Shady is a veteran who's been around several quarterbacks and several good teams in the league. He could see in the first year alongside the guy that he had the potential. And us as fans as well, we could see so many times Josh, when he couldn't create with his arm, he created with his legs. He found ways to keep the Bills in games where they had no business being on, to be honest. And the Bills didn't have the better supporting cast around him, right? He was kind of threw on the fire with not the ideal wide receiver group around him. And when he started to get a little bit of more help on that side of the ball, when the Bills brought in John Brown and brought in Cole Beasley, we could see Josh already playing better in his third season, right? So then Diggs, obviously a great upgrade, and Josh became the superstar that we are used to watching. But my point is the national media and the guys that don't watch the Bills every single game, they have no clue most of the time, and it's kind of difficult to tell like a former professional player or even some good former professional players who are good analysts, but it's tough to cover the entire league. So sometimes they took too long to recognize Bill's talent or to really realize some guys are better than their names, right? Uh, when they look at the box score or in the starting lineup, for example. And I believe Bills Mafia should know better that despite losing those guys who clearly weren't on their primes anymore, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer last season, they weren't those ball hawk safeties making plays all over the field as we used to watch them doing so, right? Mitch Morse was a good, dependable center, but he wasn't a dominant center, right? And even Stephon Diggs, after Joe Brady took over, we didn't see Diggs. We even saw Diggs dropping a lot of passes, what was uncommon, but we saw Diggs asking to tapping out of games consistently. We saw him acting weirdly, like looking injured sometimes, but he wasn't injured. So he wasn't the same Diggs that we had before, right? And Gabe Davis, come on, it's no coincidence. Josh has just one interception this season without Gabe Davis playing. A lot of the interceptions Josh threw over his career were targeting Gabe Davis, and a lot of times he could have done better, right? Try to avoid those interceptions as we've seen Keon Coleman doing, we've seen other guys doing recently, right? And the interception he threw last week against the Seahawks, it was a kind of interception that he used to throw to Gabe Davis because he threw to a spot where he counted on his wide receiver to be there, and Gabe Davis most of the time wasn't there, and Amari Cooper last week wasn't there because he slipped. So the Bills didn't lose much with those guys leaving, and Tre'Davious White is in a tough spot now with the Rams. So it's sad to see those guys not doing well anymore. But Father Time is undefeated, and it's been not different to those guys, right? And when the Bills decided to move on those guys and replace them with young blood, with fresh legs, I kind of trust Brandon Bean and I kind of trust Sean McDermott on team building. They've been able to build good teams along the years in Buffalo. So even when they don't sign the biggest names, most of the time those guys are at least good enough to do their jobs decently and keep the level up, keep the level at a standard where McDermott and the Bills they demand from their players, right? So the Bills did that in the last off season, and I wrote an article, Why So Pessimistic, on Buffalo Rumblings, talking about those changes and why I believed the Bills were primed for another great season. And now reaching midway this 2024 NFL season, we can see on the courtesy of ESPN the standings here, right? but we can see the Bills at 6-2 going to week 9 midway through the season and fighting for the right now tied with the Steelers. They have the tiebreaker, but okay, number 3 spot in the AFC with a Kansas City Chiefs game just around the corner, right? Soon. And the Bills will be fighting for the number 1 seed again in the AFC. Something that when I wrote about it, asking why so pessimistic about the national media and a lot of people in Bills Mafia before the season, I was called a homer, right? I was, oh, Fernando, you are a homer. That's why you are saying those things. And trust me, I've been pretty pessimistic on the Bills several times, right? And am I still have questions about the Bills by playoff times. I still have questions about the defense because unfortunately last season we couldn't see they healthy enough to compete against Kansas City, right? And if we can make the playoffs with a healthy defense, a healthy Terrell Bernard, right? Healthy Von Miller, the defensive backfield as well. We suffered with Rasul Douglas injured, playing through an injury last playoffs. If we can make the playoffs and have a healthy defense, I'm curious to see this defense playing against Kansas City, against the good offenses, because first, I believe they have some talent that maybe they might be able to play well against those teams. The second, if they can't, there won't be excuses anymore, right? Because the same reason I'm confident about the Bills, or the same reason I was confident before the season the Bills would be good during regular season, is the same reason I'm not so confident by playoff times, and I have question marks when thinking playoffs for the Bills, right? Because I wrote on that article that I trust Sean McDermott 100% to build a very good regular season team, a very good regular season defense, a defense that might struggle against Patrick Mahomes, against Joe Burrow, against Lamar Jackson in a good day, and now with Derrick Henry as a combo. You can't talk about one without mentioning the other, right? So this defense might struggle against the top-notch competition, but against 70%, 80% of the league, they probably will play well enough to control the game and keep it in a reach for Josh Allen and the offense to score more points and win games. And that's why the Bills have won so many games along the years, the last few seasons. And that's why they are, again, this very same team. 6-2. I had them finishing this year with 12 wins, right? Best case scenario, 13 wins. Worst case scenario, 11 wins, right? And I still feel pretty confident about this 12-win scenario for this team because they are who I believe they were. They are a well-built team, a well-prepared team, a dependable team, right? Full of players that aren't the most talented players in the league. Sometimes they aren't the most athletic, gifted players in the league. But there is a reason to draft good guys, former captains on their college teams. Because when you have a Cole Bishop just playing snaps on special teams and sitting on the bench and learning behind Taylor Rapp and Damar Hamlin, he isn't bullshitting around and wanting more or creating trouble, right? When you have a guy like Mac Hollins, for example, playing ahead of Keon Coleman as he's done, or as thankfully not anymore, right? But we saw early in the season the Bills relying more on Hollins. Coleman was fine and was working and was getting better, and now the results are he's being able to show the results the last few weeks, right? So Dwayne Carter, all those guys were team captains, and now they are part of a team that would come in, listen from McDermott, learn from the veterans, do their best to do their jobs, and be dependable to each other, avoid mistakes, and that's what the Bills have done. When they lost to the Ravens, they lost to a team with better talent, with a team that were able to be more physical than them, right? And the preparation wasn't good enough. The start was very slow. right? So this is the team I believed they would be, and they are showing it, and they are running away with the division, 6-2. The Jets just won their third game, but they are working with a very thin margin, right? They can't make mistakes anymore. Maybe one loss is enough to keep them away from the playoffs, out of the playoffs. And the Dolphins with just two victories and a lot of injury trouble, obviously, but just two victories. They're coming to Buffalo playing for their lives in this game tomorrow. So um, the Bills are the team I thought they would be, but the Jets and the Dolphins, they aren't the team most people were fearing, and that's the reason the Bills are so comfortable leading the division, running away with it, and they can't waste opportunities to do so. And tomorrow is a big time opportunity to do so, to kill one of the rivals already, to take out one of potential a team that was a potential rival even in the playoffs, the Miami Dolphins. The Bills have an opportunity tomorrow to take them out of the season, to end their season already. So they can't really um, not take advantage of this opportunity, right? They gotta take advantage of this opportunity. End the Miami Dolphins season with a win tomorrow. They have a lot of trouble. I'll talk about it shortly, but that's a big time opportunity for this Bills team that they are who I thought they were, right? A pretty good team, just like the other teams the Bills had in the last few seasons, and with question marks when facing the best, absolute best teams in the league. Question marks about McDermott coaching, in-game coaching, question marks about the game planning before those games, question marks about execution in those games, right? And level of talent in this team to compete at the highest, absolutely highest level, right? So those are fair questions by playoff time, but those are questions for January and not for October, November, December. And I believe the Bills will continue trending up during regular season. The Amari Cooper addition was awesome. Um, they might add somebody still until the trade deadline. Defensive tackle would be ideal. We need help there. We lost a guy injured in Dwayne Carter. A rookie was playing well. We haven't had the best performances from Daquan Jones and Oliver, so some help in the interior defensive line would be nice for this defense. But this team is trending in the right direction, and they should run away with this division this year again, fifth year in a row. And again, I've asked it again, just like I did before the season. Why so pessimistic, right? I think by right now, we've already seen enough from Brandon Bean, Sean McDermott, Josh Allen to know that Josh will put points on the board with this offense and with help around him now. And the defense will be good enough for a regular season to keep games under control for this offense most of the time. And that's why we are 6-2 and trending up in the right way during this part, midway through this 2024 season. So tomorrow game against the Dolphins, big time opportunity to eliminate one team that was expected to be a contender, was expected to be a team to even favored for a lot of people. They were favored in the first matchup against the Bills, right? So they were the favorites to win the division ahead of the Bills, take away the Bills' crown in the AFC East this season. And if the Bills allow them to beat them tomorrow with all the problems they've had recently, they are allowing this team to come back and to start a comeback, right? To start to get back on track. I don't believe they will be able to do so. Just like the Jets, those teams have already lost way too many games, and it's tough to go all the way now without losses and make the playoffs. But if they can do that, that's a team you wouldn't want to face on the playoffs, right? I wouldn't want to take on the New York Jets coming from 8 consecutive wins by playoffs time. It would be difficult. I wouldn't like to go against the Miami Dolphins coming from 8, 9, 7 wins in a row by playoff times. It shows that they figured it out and are ready to compete. So the Bills gotta take advantage of this opportunity tomorrow. Miami Dolphins missing some important pieces in the defensive backfield. Kader Kuhu is out. Javon Holland is out, right? Doubtful, but out. And the secondary is in trouble. There will be favorable matchups for the Bills against that secondary. Zach Zeller, great defensive tackle, great pass rusher from inside, out of this game. So the Bills will have opportunities. On the Bills side, Amari Cooper questionable, Curtis Samuel questionable, Christian Benford questionable. Let's be honest. If Benford has been awesome, has been great, but if Benford can't go, we all want to see Kyle Elam playing and doing better, playing well, and it might be an opportunity, right? And one of the best Kyle Elam games as a Bill was against the Dolphins in the playoffs 2 years ago. So it wouldn't be, oh my God, we don't have Christian Benford, and it's an avenue for Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle to take advantage of. So I don't believe so. Now, Amari Cooper, he was practicing, so I believe he will play. And again, let's be honest. Amari Cooper, so far, he had a good first game, one touchdown. Um, but then the second game, unfortunately, wasn't the best game for him. He slipped and it resulted in an interception. Um, he caught one pass for 3 yards, and that was his two targets in this game. But his presence, just the fact that Amari Cooper was lining up there, he was drawing attention to him, right? And if he can go tomorrow, even if he's this presence, will the Dolphins risk themselves allowing a backup corner be one-on-one, matched up one-on-one with Amari Cooper outside, isolated, outside against Amari Cooper one-on-one? I don't think so, right? And if they try to send help that way, we know that Khalil Shakir has played great. Keon Coleman, my goodness, what did Keon Coleman do last week? It was awesome to watch because we didn't see Keon Coleman doing that against um, Nickel Roby Coleman. Okay, we didn't see he doing that against a small guy, a slow guy. No, it was against Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen is a big, long corner, speedy one with definitely faster than Coleman. He's recognized as a physical corner. And in the first opportunity, Josh tried to throw a fade route to Keon. Woolen won that rep, right? Was able to bat down that pass out of Coleman's hands and made him know as a rookie. Coleman as a rookie and Woolen as a veteran, he made him know that, look, rookie, you won't be able to win those passes against those catches against me, right? And then talked a lot of trash on Coleman's face. But Josh didn't take long to go Coleman again against Woolen again, just on the other side of the field. And 2 plays later, touchdown, and Keon Coleman made an awesome grab over Woolen and made him know it, right? It was awesome to see the rookie with that personality, with that swag, talking trash to a guy like Woolen, made the gesture over your head, dunking on him, right? Just like we were used to see Stephon Diggs doing against Jalen Ramsey, right? And after that, Keon Coleman was a beast, man. It seems like Woolen couldn't have done worse than what he did talking trash after that rep one, because from that point on, Keon Coleman dominated the game. He dominated the matchup against Woolen. Run blocking, he threw Woolen on the ground and pointed on the finger on his face, right? He beat Woolen on a press where Woolen was playing press, and Keon Coleman is supposedly to be slow, right? He's not supposedly to threat you downfield. Woolen, with his speed, tried to press him, and Coleman had a great release, and he would score that ball, that pass, if Woolen doesn't grab him and commits a defensive pass interference, right? So Coleman beat Woolen on every aspect of the game. It was a beauty to see, and he'll have another opportunity this week because the Miami Dolphins have trouble with their corners. Jalen Ramsey can't follow everybody. Where they will use Jalen Ramsey in this game? Will Jalen Ramsey follow Keon Coleman, who's hot and who's being able to win his duel against the Seahawks' top cornerback? Or will they keep Jalen Ramsey playing nickel, playing inside as he likes to do, and he'll follow Khalil Shakir, who's produced over 100 yards, 10 catches last game, and is Josh Allen's favorite target, right? How about Amari Cooper? Amari Cooper is still the biggest name on this group, right? So Amari Cooper's arrival has been huge for the Bills because I really feel like every other pass catcher was relegated. Maybe it not be the right word for, but in terms of depth chart, they were relegated one spot to their ideal spot. It's not ideal to have Keon Coleman today as your number one target outside. It's not ideal to have all the attention on Khalil Shakir inside. It's not ideal to have Dalton Kincaid so early in his young career being the focal point of this passing attack. But now with Amari Cooper presence, it seems like everybody is more comfortable in their roles, right? And Kincaid has played better. Coleman has is trending up, and Khalil Shakir has been awesome and continues to be the main Josh Allen target. So James Cook coming out of the backfield. So it's been awesome. Less reps for Mac Hollins, who does an awesome job doing the dirty job, right? He can block, he can run those routes to pick routes to let people get free, or simply go routes to clear the space for other routes to be thrown. But ideally, you have Amari Cooper, Khalil Shakir, and Keon Coleman almost every time you're there with three wide receivers on the field, and then Kincaid as the tight end, Cook coming out of the backfield. That's your ideal skill positions group, right? In 11 personnel. And this way you can use Mac here and there on run downs and take advantage of his blocking. Keep him fresh for special teams reps where he recovered a fumble last week and was important. So I feel now the Bills offense has the right players for the right roles, and that's why they've been rolling, scoring over 30 points every week. And this week against the Dolphins is another great opportunity to do so. The Dolphins, they are one of the best teams not allowing production on the air, but with injuries on the defensive backfield. No Holland, no Kader Kuhu, sorry, no Zealer on the defensive line. So this defense will be exposed, and this defense hasn't played well against the Bills. The Bills' offensive line has been able to be way more physical than their defensive line. Actually, the entire Bills team has been way more physical than the entire Dolphins team. This Dolphins team has been dangerous, fast, but soft. Let's be honest. It's a soft team which has struggled with physicality, and the Bills have been able to punish them using physicality. So tomorrow is another game where the Bills have everything going their way so far pre-game. They got to be prepared. They can't allow the Dolphins to surprise them. They got to be careful with the big plays, keep everything ahead of them, make the Dolphins try to be patient, to beat the Bills patiently, make Tua dink and dunk. He has no patience to do so, or hasn't had so far. So that's the path for the Bills to win against the Dolphins. They've been able to do so. McDaniels gotta do better against the Bills. If he is that special offensive coach that people talk about, he can't allow the Bills and McDermott to own him the way the Bills have done. So they gotta have an answer for tomorrow, and that's what makes me a little bit nervous, because I'm like, okay, if these Dolphins, if they are for real, if they want to be a contender for real, they got to win this game against the Bills, because they won't have many more opportunities, right? This team is trending downwards, and if it continues like this, there should be real questions about, is this Dolphins team really, is that the direction they really want to go? Or maybe their owner decide to fire the coach and to move on from Tua. So it's a possibility because they haven't been able, they are imploding so far. The Bills gotta go there and stomp on them and end their season so they can really not allow the Dolphins to be reborn and to try to come back and become a dangerous teams, even for the Bills, by playoff time. So they can't allow it to happen. And that's why this game tomorrow is so important for the Bills. Let me go through the chat real quick. Please, Bills Mafia, hit that like button, subscribe to Rumblings Network, support us. A lot of great shows there, and we count on you. Also, go to the Apple Podcast, Spotify, and subscribe there as well. Rate us there, please. We count on you. So, good afternoon to Franklin. Franklin always very optimistic. He thinks 34-20 is the score. Squish the fish, says Rodrigo. A shout out to him. Dagoda, the disgruntled Jets fans, sorry. 8 sacks, 21 total pressures Halloween night. Last two meetings against Houston, this defense has a total 12 sacks, 17 hits on Stroud. Jets improved 8-3 all-time against the Houston Texans. So, okay, Dakota. First of all, welcome again to the show. It's not the first time you've been here, and you're always welcome despite being a Jet. All right, and I see you still have a lot of hope on your Jets team, right? And again, just like I just said it. If the Jets can rebound the way they started to try against, they didn't look good against the Houston Texans. Let's be honest. And CJ Stroud, he's been awful in open stadiums, right? He only plays well in domes, and he lost his main target. So I never trust these Houston Texans being for real. I thought they would have a lot of trouble with all those veteran big name guys that aren't really on their primes anymore coming in with a talented young team. And now injuries, I don't know. But look, if the Jets can really rebound, yes, they will be dangerous. I just think they don't have margin for error anymore, and they aren't looking good. They didn't look good against the Texans. So you have a long way ahead for your team, and I don't know, man. I don't know if you'll be able to do so. I don't believe so. All right. So you believe the Chiefs will be able to win? No, it won't happen because the Bills will finally beat them. All right. All that we need is a little bit more help around Josh Allen. What he's had during the regular season, he gotta have that by playoff times. Good defense by playoff times. Not even good, just decent defense against the Chiefs, and a little bit more help, people not dropping so many passes, because in head-to-head to Mahomes, Josh Allen has shown that he's able to go toe-to-toe or even better than Mahomes, as he's done in the last few playoff games. Just isolate quarterback play and you'll see. So even the God, a Jets fan, believe the Bills are beating Dolphins badly, 55-13. I would like that for sure. And he believes the Dolphins won't win many games anymore, right? And will finish third or fourth in the division. Fair assessment. It can happen for sure. So I just wrote, and this article is right there to be released at buffalorumblings.com. So check it out. A lot of great articles there as well, right? Scarecrow always writing a lot of great articles there. Bruce as well, Matt Byron as well. Everybody producing great content at Buffalo Rumblings. And soon I will have my trending up, trending down players this week ahead of this game against the Dolphins. And I will already name them for you, since you are right here, right now with me on the leading the chart. Hit the like button, subscribe to my own Fernando Schmude channel. Support me, please. And I have rising right now, right, in this this article. Keon Coleman for the second consecutive week. I avoid doing so, but Keon Coleman was so awesome against the Seahawks that I couldn't help myself but putting him there again. Khalil Shakir rising because despite all the expectation over Dalton Kincaid before and now the arrival of Amari Cooper, Shakir continues to be Josh Allen's favorite target, and I believe he'll continue to be all year long. This guy, he's just so dependable, so reliable, right? And he almost never drop passes. All passes in his direction are almost guaranteed catches, right? Ryan Fitzpatrick recently tweeted that this season he's had 83 targets and 75 catches. The last 2 years, sorry, right? The regular season since last season. 83 targets, 75 catches. It's nuts, right? So Khalil Shakir is there. And James Cook made the list for the first time. He's been a deserving name for quite some time now, but finally I put him on the list because he put on a show against the Seahawks. The offensive line has been able to be extremely physical, opening holes for the running game, and it's been very fun to see James Cook growing as a runner, right? We all knew he had the speed, but last season he was able to improve running inside also. And this season he's showing the patience to see the plays develop, to see to let his blocks develop and follow those blockers. He's even done so, putting his hand on Osiris Torrance back and following him, just like we used to see Shady McCoy doing with Rich Incognito. So awesome to see James Cook playing like this and becoming a total running back, a complete running back. And even the pass catching, who's been problematic in his career recently, he's been able to hold on those balls and catch those passes and become an important check down option, especially for Josh on the flats and on the cool routes inside. So great to see James Cook playing like this. And falling, it's difficult to have players falling when the Bills are playing like they are right now, right? Because they're doing so well. So I have the interior D-line depth and level of play falling because of obviously the injury to Dwayne Carter, right? We have Dwayne Schmude playing a lot inside. AJ Peneza has played inside on passing downs. Greg Rousseau as well. So the Bills using a lot their defensive ends there because the defensive tackle position hasn't been good generating pressure. Ed Oliver has been average. Daquan Jones has been average. We lost Carter. We have Austin Johnson, who's average as well. So help inside would be welcome for sure ahead of this trade deadline. And that's why I had them falling in my list falling. The other one is Amari Cooper in the list of falling because I just said it here. He's extremely important for the Bills with his impact, even when he doesn't catch passes, right? All the attention that goes his way. But in the ideal scenario, after the first game with a touchdown, we would see a even better game against the Seahawks, and it didn't happen. So, just like I said, I had trouble finding people to put on trending down, and the second Amari Cooper game wasn't better than the first one. That's why he's in the list. But I have no doubts in my mind we can be talking about him on the trending up list next week, especially with a favorable matchup against the Miami Dolphins. So, and there is one more name on my list of players trending down or situations, group positions. And this is Mac Hollins as a wide receiver. Mac Hollins in the offense, right? Because his snaps are decreasing, his role has decreased as a wide receiver, and there is no problem about it because he's a depth piece. He's a guy to do the dirty job. He's a guy to play special teams. But it's better for the Bills to have more Cooper, more Coleman, more Shakir, even more Curtis Samuel when he's back from his shoulder injury than Hollins in this offense. So great to have him playing special teams, being fresh there. and coming in for run block purposes, being that complementary piece in this offense. And I mentioned some honorable mentions, but those ones you will need to read the article at Buffalo Rumblings to know them, right? So, Bills Mafia, that's it for today. I hope you enjoy a great Sunday tomorrow and a great Bills win again against the Dolphins. It's important for the Bills to not let them come back, to not give them hope, not allow them to start fast, not allow them to hit a big play early, right? And remind them that they are there in trouble, that they won't be more physical. They won't be. It won't be a nice game for them. They got to feel it since the beginning. So that's why the preparation for this game is so important. I hope McDermott has look, that's a playoff game already because we can take out one of our divisional rivals. So let's take advantage of this opportunity. One, we can't allow them to come back. That's the opportunity, right? So that's what I expect from the Bills tomorrow, and they can really make do what they're supposed to do, and stomp and roll over this Miami Dolphins team with problems, and open a bigger gap to the second place New York Jets in the division, right? I believe that's an important game. That's a great opportunity to do so. The Bills can't waste it. So that's my expectation for tomorrow's game, and I believe the Bills will be able to score a lot of points again with this banged up Dolphins defense. So over 30 points for the Bills offense and around 20 points max for the Dolphins offense. I will go with a guess of Bills 31 to 18. Bills win. All right, Bills Mafia. So that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow post game show in Portuguese, talking to Bills Mafia in Brazil and all Portuguese speaking countries. And hopefully after a big time Bills win. Also, there's more content on my own Fernando Schmude channel. Last night I had a video call with all the collaborators of the channel. I will publish it soon today so people can watch this talk as well in Portuguese. And this today's episode in English will be available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Megaphone. So please like here on YouTube, grade it, and download and play it on your favorite podcast place. And as well, if you're not live here now, send your guess for tomorrow's score. Send your opinion in the YouTube comment section, or if you're watching it in Buffalo Rumblings message board, it will be a pleasure to interact with you there as always, as I always do. So maybe I'm not the biggest homer after all, right? Maybe just about it, I was right, and the Bills weren't that bad as some people thought they would be. All right. So that's it, Bills Mafia. Thank you so much. I see you tomorrow. Have a great Sunday and a great Bills win. Go Bills.